Hi, Dr. Mark here, and today what I want to do is talk to you about your adrenal glands. Your adrenal glands are also known as your stress glands, and they handle the stress that we go throughout our lifetime. We have three types of stress. We have physical stress. Those are people that have chronic injuries and pain, have been injured like in a car accident or some other type of fall. Second thing that we can get is chemical stress. We've got 82,000 toxic chemicals in our food, air, and water. These chemicals can cause all kinds of damage and stress to our body and to our adrenal glands. Sugar, caffeine are the two biggest things that cause problems for the adrenal glands. And then the third thing is the chronic emotional stress. The chronic emotional stress that we continue to be under that accumulates over our lifetime. It doesn't happen just once. It's an accumulation like a bucket, and it keeps filling up till we can't handle it anymore. And so a lot of people say, well, I don't have any stress. I got very low stress. It's the accumulation of those little stresses that have happened throughout their lifetime that can cause a far-reaching effect on your adrenal glands. So let's talk a little bit about what they do now. Okay, so first thing we got to take a look at is I'm going to talk about the outside of the adrenal glands. They sit on top of your kidneys. They're about the size of a walnut, and they have an inside and an outside. So we're going to talk about the outside first, and then I'm going to switch over and do the inside for you. So first thing we look at is cortisol. Now cortisol is a what we call a glucocorticoid. It works a lot with sugar in our body, but it downregulates what we call inflammation. So somebody that has chronic pain, they're going to oftentimes have, you've heard of cortisone shots. They'll have a lot of cortisol being released in their system throughout the daytime and nighttime for chronic stress. Okay, if they've got chronic pain, this will happen. Also blood sugar. Their blood sugar, it regulates that, so that if that gets out of balance, and we have chronic problems with cortisol, guess what we're going to get? Sugar cravings. Oh, I got to have some of that sugar all the time, and we see that a lot. I got to have my chocolate. I've got to have my sweets. So the third thing that happens is cortisol. When we have high doses of that, it will turn this sugar into what we call stored as belly fat. So the body will start to protect itself by storing fat around the navel, right around the belly, okay? So the second thing it works with on the outside is aldosterone. So what is aldosterone? Aldosterone works with fluid retention. So fluid retention would be like sodium and potassium, those kinds of things. But sodium, if that gets out of balance, you're going to crave what? Salt. I need more salt in there. So those are the people that are going to be going, I need the chips. I love the chips. So we can either be eating the candy and the cookies and the sweets, or we can get cravings, if this area is affected, to the salt. I need to have that salt in there. I really like those chips. The other thing is potassium, because potassium and sodium work together. And if they get out of balance, we can have problems with either high or low blood pressure. Oftentimes, high blood pressure though. And potassium can be a big factor with that. So now we take a look at the adrenals. What else they do is they work as a backup system to the ovaries. So the ovaries are going to make progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, or what I call PET. So progesterone and estrogen, they work together. Females have about 10 times more of that than males do. Men have 10 times more testosterone. That's why it's easier for men to lose weight, and they have more muscle in their body. They have more hair, all that type of thing on their body. So when we have more estrogen though, either males or females, because a lot of our food have a lot of estrogen in it, then what's going to happen is we're going to increase in body fat. We're going to retain fat and continue to get fat all over our body because of higher levels of estrogen. And we see that happen a lot now, is that people are, particularly men and women, become estrogen dominant. And the minute we start gaining weight, we're going to start to see that more. The other thing is DHEA. DHEA is a very powerful hormone. It's what we call a precursor for all of the other hormones that we need to have in here. And it also affects a lot with cholesterol. And cholesterol is important for our brain, for us to keep our ability to think and remember. It's really important for all of our cells. Every cell is coated with cholesterol. And the cholesterol keeps the cells soft so we don't get stiffened up, hardened up, and end up having arthritis and all kinds of stiffness throughout our body. Now, the other thing that goes on is this is the backup system for your ovaries. So when women get to the point where they're going to go through menopause, then generally around 52, what happens then is the ovaries go on strike, they're going to retire, and guess what? We still have to have estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. If we don't, then we're going to get menstrual cycle problems, and that can happen anytime during their cycle, even before. They can get PMS, obviously. And the third thing is hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, mood changes, anxiety issues, and sleep problems, particularly between 1 to 4 in the morning. They'll have trouble going or staying asleep. They'll wake up and they can't go back to sleep right away. That's a dead giveaway that the adrenals, which are working with the blood sugar, are not functioning properly. So this is what's happening on the outside of the adrenals and how it affects your body. You can see just some of the few things that it's affecting. And when we send this out, I'll send you a little adrenal test that you can take, and you can see all the symptoms that are related to it. So if you have a bunch of those things going on, we have a simple adrenal test that we do through the urine, and we can go ahead and check and see, are your adrenals normal? Are they hyper, going too fast? Or are they exhausted? Really wonderful test. So let's go ahead and we're going to talk about the inside about the adrenal now. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we'll talk about the inside of the adrenal. We call it the medulla. So this is the medulla, this is the cortex, the outside, and the medulla is really important because what it does, first of all, is it makes a thing called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is extremely important for your nervous system, for all of your organs to function better, for energy in your body, for digestion. Very important chemical that the adrenals work with. The next thing they make with is epinephrine. Epinephrine turns into adrenaline. So epinephrine, you've all heard of epinephrine in the form of an EpiPen. If somebody gets, say for example, asthma, they give them a shot of EpiPen. If somebody's heart stops, they'll give them a shot of adrenaline, which gives them more what? Energy. Jump starts things. It's like when people pick up a car when they get really stressed out and somebody's underneath it and they can all of a sudden lift a car, that's adrenaline. Gives us more energy. And this epinephrine is a vasoconstrictor, vessel constrictor. It makes your vessels get more constricted, and when you get asthma, they open up. They open up too much and you get excess histamines. Histamines make your vessels dilate. And when they dilate, it causes more inflammation, it causes more allergies and asthma. So allergies and asthma are always associated with what organ? You're right, the adrenals. So always think that. The gut is the other thing that will be associated with that, but I want you to know that this is a big one. So epinephrine and adrenaline. So if you're tired all the time, this is one of the things that we have to look at. Are your adrenal glands functioning, or is your fatigue coming from that? The next thing we got to work on is the brain. Dopamine is extremely important for behavior and for emotions and for our overall brain function. So when we have proper dopamine, it causes us to be happy, joyful. When we don't have the right levels of dopamine, it will create depression. It's one of the big things that the reason why people are on antidepressant drugs today is because so much of this is not getting shipped from the digestive tract and from the adrenals up into the brain, and so people are depressed. But we've got to once again look for the cause of it. That's what I'm trying to teach you. Now the next thing we look at is serotonin. Serotonin, you've probably heard of that. Serotonin is another happy hormone. It's one of our happy hormones. When that's right, what happens, it's an antidepressant. And the other thing it does, it works with the next stage called melatonin. Melatonin, you've heard of that. Some of you may be taking it or have tried it. It helps you to sleep at night. So proper melatonin levels. So sleep, that affects energy, doesn't it? So you can see how this whole thing works together. Extremely important, both the inside and the outside of the adrenals. And now there's probably a lot more information than you wanted to know, but I promise you, if you understand a little bit about the adrenal glands, you're going to understand how important they are to handle stress in your life. Now the things that we need with this is we need a lot of minerals. Calcium, potassium, magnesium. So that's why we've got to, first of all, eat healthy with lots of leafy green veggies and lots of other types of vegetables, fruits, live food that have these in there. We also have to stay away from the sugar. The sugar is what kills your adrenals. It shuts them down rapidly, and it causes blood sugar problems and all kinds of energy problems. The third thing that we have to do is watch our caffeine. Caffeine will stimulate these adrenals and make them run 24 hours a day. When we start drinking more than 2-3 cups a day, we're going to kick those adrenals in and force them to work more than they should. And those are sometimes relate back to the people that have trouble sleeping at night. So once again, I hope you understand a little more about the adrenal glands. They're exciting. They really help. We've got a simple test that you can do to check to see how yours are doing. And take this information, and hopefully that will help you with some of the symptoms that you're having. You have a great day, and God bless.